This is on my new album. It's called The Overly Dramatic Truth. I want y'all to put your hands in the air like this one time for me. Just one time. All right, everyone. This is the Bob and Blur Show coming to you with our premiere podcast. We're trying this out for the first time here. My name is Robert White. I go by Bob. I'm here with my nephew and partner in crime, Blur. Blur, you want to say hi?
Hi guys.
Okay, so I guess we're just going to start this off. Give a little bit of context as to who we are, how we know each other, and everything. Blur is my nephew through marriage. I am married to his aunt Sarah. So his mom is Sarah's sister. And in the past 6, 7 years, I've just kind of come real close to him. He's probably the closest thing I have to actually having my own son. But we actually have a really unique relationship because he's not my son. So I mean, if I drop some like f bombs in front of him, like don't fucking at me, like okay, I cuss in front of him all the time. It's fine. So I don't want to hear anyone like writing in letters or anything like, oh, he's cussing in front of a kid. Okay, the kid has a laptop in his pocket. Okay, anyone who thinks that kids today aren't hearing this shit, like, okay, stop living in Candyland. They all have access to the internet. So I mean, basically, like I don't feel as if I'm any more ready for the world than Blur is. So I mean, go ahead. He's giving me the sign that he wants to say something. So go ahead, Blur. Say anything you want.
Alright, so he calls me Blur, but my real name is Lucas. He doesn't call me that, like, ever though, so that's kind of
I don't
weird
remember
and
the last
stuff.
time I called you that. No, probably when
Yeah.
I'm mad at you, I do.
Yeah. Kinda
But
freaks me out a little bit.
yeah, it's very few and far between. Keep going. Sorry.
Um, yeah, I don't know, I don't got anything else to say. I go to school right now and stuff.
So Blur is 13. I'm 45. Again, I don't feel as if I'm any more ready for the world than he is. Oh, I'm a recovering alcoholic, so I've only been sober about 3 years, 8 months, something like that. So the great thing about me and him right now is I like literally tell people that I've only been an adult for like 3 years and 8 months. Like I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know why they let me sit at the adult table on holidays. I have like nothing figured out at 45 years old. So I think that's kind of the reason I get along better with him than I do anybody my age because I don't really regard myself as an adult. I'm wearing Xavier's School for Gifted Youth hoodie right now. So I don't know. I mean, what do you want to talk about? Like, or just getting to know each other and stuff? Uh,
Please?
I really want to give a commentary on like the school system right now because, but I mean that's another episode. But I like anytime like anybody says that like the kids in school aren't paying attention and stuff, I have so many theories about that, but that's fine. That's when I get on a soapbox and like Blur leaves the room and like goes and calls like Haley or something. But
Haley.
yeah, that's right. um I don't know, I guess we can do movie commentaries and stuff like,
I think
oh,
that's
you know
something we could
what,
do.
you know what would be, dude, I seriously, I think we just found our angle. Okay, no, I'm being so serious with you. Okay, so like I make Blur watch all these movies that I grew up on, like movies from the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. Okay, so dude, we got this. All right. Okay, so here's the angle of our podcast. This is what it's going to be about. Uh okay, it's going to be like movies from 40 years ago and movies that I grew up on. This is a unique perspective because I was Blur's age when these movies came out, and now it's like, what, how much older am I than you?
I
What are
don't
you?
know,
You're
like
13, 23, 33, 40. So I'm 30 years older than Blur, like 32 years older than Blur. So these movies I saw when I was a kid, I mean, they're still classics, and it is like, dude, I got our whole podcast right now.
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, what is
just
it? What is it?
reviewing 80s movies and seeing which ones you like and which ones you don't, and then just talking about them. This is it. This is the angle.
I know, I still think we should also review other people too.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna start with the first. What's a movie? What's a movie that I made you watch?
I think Back to the Future is pretty good.
Okay, well, let's start with Back to the Future. Okay, so here's the thing with the movies that I make Blur watch. It is, the word literally is chucked around so much. It is literally hit or miss with Blur. as to whether or not he's actually going to like these movies. There's a couple movies that you got drawn into real fast. Spaceballs, like you like Spaceballs, didn't you?
No.
Goonies, you didn't you like?
Yeah, yeah. I
He
love the
liked Goonies.
Goonies. I love the
Goonies, he got
Goonies.
pulled into. Um, well, anyway, so one that I blame myself, like as a parental figure, like I failed him on this because we had COVID. I had COVID at the beginning of January this year, and it's where the hell are we in now? March, something like that. Are we in March? Yeah, January. February. Yeah, we're in March. So at the beginning of this year, I had COVID. My wife and I had COVID, and Blur came into our room, and he couldn't like hang out with us and stuff like that. And I was watching Back to the Future, and he looked at me and he said, "What are you watching?" I said, "Back to the Future," and he said, "What's that?" And immediately I was like, I have failed. Like as like a father figure, I failed this kid. So we started watching Back to the Future, and I thought that he was going to be bored shitless because if you anyone here who's seen Back to the Future, if you haven't seen it in a while, like nothing happens for like the first 25 minutes of that movie.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like it's an incredibly slow burn. Like
It is. It is. Yeah, I
it's
agree.
setting up a lot of character development. But okay, so if you can actually track the trajectory of movies right now from like the 40, like the 20s, 40s, and all the way to now, start looking at the timeline, start looking at how long these movies were. Like in the 40s, these movies were like 3 hours long. Like Gone with the Wind, like, dude, that was like a semester. I mean, that movie was like 70 years long. And then like Casablanca wasn't that long, but because back then people could pay attention to movies like
Yeah,
they didn't have the internet. This is it. This is all you had. Like you were just happy to be out of the goddamn house. Like you go to the movie theater, it's like you could just watch it like a big movie screen of like grass burning, and you're like, I'm just so fucking happy to be out of my house. And then but then TV came along, and then once TV came along, everybody was like, okay, well, I mean, I don't want to. It's not a big deal to leave anymore because I have TV at my house. So the movies started getting a little bit shorter because people's attention span started dropping off. And then like the 90s and the 2000s rolled around, and then the internet came out. Now these movies like they're right to the fucking point. And
yeah.
like
I
yeah, if you want a good example of that, look at Superman 1978. Look at Superman. Like, go back and rewatch that movie. 12 minutes. 12 minutes are the opening credits to that film.
yeah,
12 fucking minutes are just devoted to watching Superman 70, just watching who made the film. Then look at Avengers Endgame. In the first 12 minutes, Loki's dead. Hulk gets the shit beat out of him. They've established that Infinity War. They've
mhm,
established that Thanos is coming to Earth. Peter Parker's already off the bus. Doctor Strange, Banner, and Iron Man are already facing him off. We're 12 minutes into the movie, and like so much shit has happened.
yeah.
So my point for that is like a lot of these movies where I find out that where he kind of trails off is his attention span's not there, and that's fine. It's not because of him. It's because I mean modern kids right now they can't focus on this. And I'm so sick and tired of everyone like they need to pay attention. I'm like, no, they don't. They all have the internet in their pockets. Like this is not holding their attention. So my point for all this was I couldn't believe that Back to the Future dragged you in so fast. Like
Dude, I love that movie.
yeah, so he was into that. What do you think about? Okay, so here's kind of an odd question. What do you think about the effects in that? Because you were born into a world with CGI.
Yeah, yeah. I
Like,
mean, it wasn't the worst. I mean, like, it wasn't the greatest either, but it wasn't bad.
because like in those old movies, you can like you could so tell when something's about to happen because they have like the white line around them.
Oh, definitely, yeah, yeah.
Like the people have like that white sketch line. Like
Mhm.
you could tell they're not in the shot. Like they're like drawn over the shot. Like they filmed it, then just put the people in like over top of it. It was like, oh, we're here. We're in the mall parking lot. And it's like, no, you're not. You're in a soundstage. Like,
Yeah, like I was watching the Marvels today, and they were flying or something, and you could obviously tell they were like it was just terrible CGI, like for such a new movie.
total side note with the Marvels. I was actually talking to somebody this week for my job. I sell floors for Luna, and I get to talk to people like all week. It's the best job in the world. In case you can't tell, I'm a chatterbox. I was talking to somebody about the Marvels earlier, and because I had how do we get talking? Oh, they saw my Shield watch, and they asked if I was in the Marvel, and I said yeah. And they said, so do you think like the Marvel movies are dead? And I was like, I don't know, man. Like we need a home run in the worst goddamn way with that,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and stop with the gimmicks. Stop bringing people in and stop hoping that sells your movie. Actually, write a
Mhm.
good movie. Because when we were watching the Marvels, I said, I told the guy, I said, my nephew and I were watching that, and I don't think I ever finished it. I got an hour into it, and I was like,
I just finished it today, so
yeah, I'm like, I'm pretty much done with this. Like, because it was like when they started switching powers, I thought that was only going to be like, I thought that was going to be like a side point to it. Like they were
that was
switching
like the
power.
whole main thing.
Yeah, and then like an hour in, I was like, oh, so we're really sticking to this. Like we're
Hmm
really, this is it. Like you're really holding on to
Actually,
this.
it wasn't really the worst near the end. It was good.
There's so many things they could have done better with that,
The
and
beginning sucked though.
they
Absolutely
just,
terrible.
they absolutely took that movie into a dark alley. Like, I mean, it was like there's so many better things you could have done with that film than that. But
Yeah, I agree.
okay, so going back to Back to the Future though. So yeah, that movie came out in 1985. So you were an idea at that point, and like I don't think your mom was even born in '85. What year was your mom born? How
Uh,
old's Jen? She's 42 or 41.
she's 42, I think.
She's 42, and I'm 45. So 6, 7. I was 7 when that came out. So
Oh man.
what is that? She was like 6, 5. Jen was 4 when that movie came out.
Yeah.
So you weren't even like, she wasn't even thinking about kids.
Hmm
I don't know, maybe. I don't know.
Whatever.
I don't know. Kindergarten was different back then, but yeah. So that Blur, the one thing about Blur, we ended up, so we started watching Back to the Future, and then once we started watching it, then I was like, okay, so this is what we're doing for the rest of the day. There's 3 of these. Let's just watch all 3 of them.
That wasted my whole day.
Wasted,
No,
wasted.
no, it was a
Like
good. It
he
was a,
had big plans.
no, it was a good movie. It's just it was like it was a Sunday, and it's like I just wasted the whole
There
day, and I had to go to school.
there was like all these, he had like a bunch of dates lined up, and he was like, look, I can't make it. Like
I know,
I'm
right?
fucking watching
Like
I'm
I know,
watching some 80s movie with my uncle.
of course.
Yeah, unpopular opinion. He like, oh, you know what? Going back to that. So Blur liked the third one. Like because
Yeah,
oftentimes the third one's the most divisive. That's the one that like people, you either love it. I don't think you either.
it was pretty good. It wasn't the worst.
I think it's no. I don't think you love it. I don't think anybody loves it. I think you either, the opinion with the third one is you either absolutely fucking hate it, you think it's horrible, or it's okay.
I think it's okay.
And I fell into the camp of okay. Like I know some
Yeah.
people that thought it was horrible. And I'm like, I don't think it was horrible. I mean, I've spent worse, 2 hours than that. Like, I mean, but I've been
hmm
in jail too. But like like so. I mean, believe me, I've had a worse 2 hours in my life than
You
Back to the
don't need to
Future. But
flex, Bobby. You don't need
it's
to
why
flex.
didn't like no. I mean, I didn't. It wasn't like I like took a shot at a president or anything. It was, but so Back to the Future 2. I have a theory about Back to the Future 2. And I think too much time has gone by to find out whether or not this is actually like a good assumption of this. Okay, so I think that back then somebody wrote a TV show for Back to the Future.
Yeah.
I think originally Back to the Future, the movie came out, and then once the movie came out, I think somebody pitched an idea for a TV show, and they had a bunch of different scripts. They had like a pilot, and then they had a whole season, and then it ended. The TV show ended with the DeLorean being hit by lightning, and that was the end of
Yeah.
season 1.
Yeah.
And I think I have nothing to base this off of other than an assumption.
hmm
I think they shopped this TV show around, and I think nobody wanted to pick it up because the budget would have been like fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
For like 1989 money, it's like, dude, this could be like $1 million an episode. Like, no one's gonna do this. Like, nobody even has $1 million in 1989. Like, that's like, like right now, like. And so I think what they did was, you know what? Rather than do the TV show, I think here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take every fucking idea you had for this whole first season.
And then just put it into one movie.
We're just gonna cram it into one movie. We're just gonna like absolutely just. It's gonna be like Marty in the future, his kids. It's gonna be like Biff gets a sports almanac and becomes like a billionaire.
Yeah.
um we're gonna shop around, like what if Marty went back to the day in the 50s when he met his parents, but he went back there again and ran into his old self back then.
Yeah.
And then it's just, if you watch that movie, I haven't seen it in like 20 years, and when I watched it with you, I was like, this movie is a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many goddamn things happening in that film. Like, I remember when we got to the end, when you and I were watching it, at the end when Biff was driving his car through the tunnel and Marty was on the hoverboard, I remember looking up and I was like, how did we get here? Like, so much stuff happens in this film, man. Like, they
Mhm.
crammed so much shit into like a 2-hour movie, and then he gets hit by the lightning bolt at the end. And by the time it's over, I was like, if you asked me what the plot of this film was, I couldn't tell you the plot of this. I can tell you scenes from it. I could tell you, I remember he was in the future. I remember Jaws coming out, the hologram of Jaws. I remember the sports almanac. I remember
Mhm.
Biff's casino.
Yeah.
I remember at some point they were in a rundown hill valley and the principal had a shotgun and he was shooting at kids in a car.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so everyone, this was 20 minutes of your life that you will never get back. All right. Thank you. And Blur, do you have anything?
No, I got nothing. Bye, guys.
Bye.